thoughts. I mean, one is that there's a certain amount of inevitability, right? What's the difference between this and a flint arrowhead?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
It's the state-of-the-art tool for whatever period of time you were in. I think what's different this year is by default, every company that's launching has an API. Last year there was a lot of buzz about it, but now everybody wants to be the next Twitter, wants to be the next Facebook, wants to be the next Foursquare, or they want to bootstrap their business based on the data that's contained in those systems. Like you take the Facebook graph, it's become a domain-specific database. Domain is social connections, and because it structures a graph and available by an API, it's a database. So that's kind of the basis of how people are building their technology, and they know to get other people to use it, to be able to become sort of a big entity, they're going to have that API out there as much as they have their website from day one.
Okay.
Second point, their websites are using their APIs, so they're dog fooding from the very beginning. It's never starting as a second-class citizen or a bolt-on. It's like we have an API-centric architecture, and our website just happens to be our first customer of that API. Our mobile app is our first customer of that API, and then everybody else can party on it from there.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that. Like Twitter did that, for instance. There have been a lot of examples of that.
Oh, there's a ton. I mean, you startups like Dynavore, things that you couldn't even have imagined.
API that are the underlying essential for everything.
Yeah, right now we're starting to realize that every well-to-do person who uses computers is going to have 2 or 3 devices, maybe 4. Right? You're going to have your PC or your Mac, you're going to have your iPhone or your Android, you're going to have your iPad or your Galaxy Tab, so there's at least 3. Now, your next GM or Ford is going to have, so we're talking the next 6 months, next 12 months, that's going to be another device. That's the beginning of things, right? But that's really just looking at things that we know that we want to use. There's a whole other universe of things like We Fit, right? We Things, the ability to get on your scale and have that be wirelessly connected to all the same, data sinks that you want all your other data going into.
Right.
So you've got health components that are connecting in. Starting to hear about tractors with APIs.
Right.
So large-scale factory farming, being able to tie in the GPS location of the factory of the tractor, and then to be able to determine whether or not they had all the necessary passes in the field to farm efficiently.
Right.
So if you start thinking of those as being examples of things, let alone like mesh networks and RFID, chips. Right. It's blown up. So I think about Cisco's numbers. They think that by 2020 there will be a trillion mobile internet connected devices that are doing things. Not all of them will have screens, right? There's probably going to be about 20 billion of those by 2015. Devices that have mobile internet connections that have screens that users are going to interact with, but that's going to be the tip of the iceberg compared to all the little Arduino chips and all the little gadgets that are out there that are all communicating through HTTP-based APIs.
What does that say about us as people? We're sending our intelligence out into this data stream. We're sending it into devices. The devices are doing far more things than we can do because they're programmatic, right? And going forward, there's going to be this gigantic mesh of this fabric out there, and we're going to have to be pretty careful we don't get too deeply embedded into it.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I have thoughts. I mean, one is that there's a certain amount of inevitability, right? What's the difference between this and a flint arrowhead?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
It's the state-of-the-art tool for whatever period of time you were in.
Right.
We are tool users. We're tool makers.
Yeah.
We are creatively lazy organisms.
Right.
We're always trying to build something to do a task for us.
Right.
That's how we pushed civilization forward for 100,000 years.
Right.
Technology, politics.
Yeah.
Right? And we just keep pushing for it. So it's inevitable. The next big tool is these kinds of domain-specific databases like Facebook. Right. Where you've got all the social information. So I think we're going to be living in a world where computers understand our context, where airlines understand that we're in Paris for 2 days, and that we're of a certain income and education level, and we have meetings in certain locations, and they may team up with people to push us notifications. Hey, there's a special here, try to drive your behavior. I think that starts to get very dangerous. I think Minority Report does a great job in sort of forecasting what that's going to be like. As systems can figure out
murder's about to happen.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we get all the way to Minority Report, but certainly like retina tracking and using Kinect to figure out that you have a different shape of body and different physical digital fingerprint. Knowing more about you, where you are, and incenting your behavior a friend of mine, Steve Hood, posted a great tweet that said, when Skynet gets here, it won't arrive with a revolution and explosions. It's going to give us badges.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
So like coordinating our behavior in sort of stranger ways.
Good way to end things.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Great.
man.